Hello, I am Gregory, and I have been wanting to share this pen with you for a long time. There was a pen review that jumped the queue in front of this one, but now I'm finally getting to this one, which is very exciting. It is not a TWSBI Eco. It is a Monteverde MP1. And this is in the black noir colorway. I'm almost certain, Monteverde's first piston filler. Someone can feel free to correct me on that, but I've been a huge fan of Monteverde for several years now, and I've never known them to have a piston filler, so I believe this is their first. Yeah, so let's take a quick look. All right, so the Monteverde MP1. So this does indeed look like a TWSBI Eco, and there's a number of brands that are sort of copying that design now. However, this does have metal parts. The cap is metal, and I believe this is also metal. The piston knob. There is a look at the nib. Of course, this being the black noir, it has that black nib to match. And we'll get back to that in a moment. Now, let me put this back on so it doesn't dry out. And you will note it does have a little O-ring there. So that's a nice addition. Yes, so one thing you'll notice as you're looking around this pen, and it's on two sides, if the circle has sides, or if the cylinder has sides, are these two dots. And that is what sets this pen above the competition. It's a really, really cool feature. Some have questioned its usefulness. Mike Madison from Ink Dependence, I'm looking your way. But regardless, I think it's a cool feature. If nothing else, it secures the piston either for when you're posting it or just moving pens around, traveling with your pen, so on. So the way it works is to actuate the piston, because right now it's locked. So that is a locking mechanism. To unlock it, you pull it, and it takes a little force. You'll hear that snap. It's a good snap, not a bad snap. And then you can actuate the piston. Now, you will notice it has quite a bit of play before the piston actually does move. So one thing I'm going to do is, and hopefully I do it the correct direction. Nope, that's the wrong way. All right. I'm going to turn it this way and just fill that back. So now we have it in all of our sloshy goodness there. I had pushed it forward to remove some of the air. And then to lock it back. Now this is where I think it fails a little bit. First of all, it takes great force, and then it has to be just in the right spot. And sometimes that right spot doesn't seem like those two dots match up. That time it did, so that's interesting. It may depend on where the piston is in there. But now you see we have our full flowing ink there. And I'll do this again. Now, one of the uses I was thinking for that is if you don't want a bunch of air in here. If you don't want a bunch of air in here, you can essentially, press it out. Now you do have to be careful because there is ink in there. Now it's been fairly drained, so it should be okay, but you want to keep a close eye, and if you see any ink coming up into the feed, stop. Otherwise you'll have a mess. All right, so let's see if I can do this carefully. Very, very carefully. That's getting pretty close to the point where I don't want to push any further. Right about there. Now you see these two dots are not anywhere near lined up. I don't feel comfortable doing that much, so let's go back this way. And the dots are lined up there. And again, it takes some force to, there you go. And it helps if you just kind of wiggle it back and forth. Yeah, but now you have a lot of that air removed. Mike Madison mentioned that that would mostly be useful if you're flying. You can remove that air so you don't get changes in air pressure, that sort of thing, pushing your ink out. But you know what? I just like it. I don't know. Whether or not it's useful is for you to decide, but again, nonetheless, if you do happen to post your pen, and again, it's going to be pretty long. It does have a little O-ring right there that it's going to sit on, but that is a very long pen. And a little back-weighted, yeah. So chances are you're not going to do that anyway, unless you have very large hands. Yeah. Nevertheless, the feature's there. We can't look at the Monteverde MP1 without looking at some of the competitors, including what everybody considers to be the original of this kind of look, I guess you might say. So this is the TWSBI Eco. This is just the black. So there we have the TWSBI Eco, the Monteverde MP1. You see the MP1 is longer. I don't know if you can tell, but this appears to have a little more girth than this. This is a slightly longer pen, but it's slightly skinnier. And then here we have the Majan T1. And this is in aged brass. Aged brass. Has a very cool patina to it. Now, because we're talking about the plastic TWSBI and two metal pens, maybe we should weigh it. Okay, so we are measuring in grams. Now bear in mind this TWSBI is not inked up. A little over 21 grams. The MP1, just under 25 grams. So it actually doesn't weigh much more. And here's where we have a wild departure, because this, let me tell you, is a heavy pen. A little over 55 grams. So, all right, we have some pens, so we want to do some writing, right? All right, so we're going to start with the Monteverde MP1. And I'll just say that both of these pens, oh, by the way, I meant to mention this. Sadly, the biggest disappointment of this pen for me are the facets, the very Lamy Safari-like facets. This is another thing Mike Madison mentioned, that these are pretty severe, but facets on any pen force me to hold it incorrectly based on, you know, my arm angle and basically how I write. I would be writing on the side of the nib, so I never use the facets as they are meant to be. So because holding it for faceted would be like this, that to me is just awkward. I feel like I'm writing underhand. So I actually place my finger on the top there, and then those two fingers like that. So the two fingers towards the bottom are basically on the edge of the facets, which is not uncomfortable actually. And this is on the top where there is no facet, and it's pretty darn comfortable, I must say. So that being said, both of these pens are inked in, and we had a hard start there. Because I was talking too much with the cap off. Aurora Black. So both are inked with Aurora Black, which I was hopeful was going to be my new favorite black ink, but TWSBI in my book outperforms it. Maybe one day I'll have a video about that, but all right, never mind the error there. This is and the colorway is and the medium, and sorry, the nib is not medium, it's a broad. So right away, let me tell you, this nib is shockingly good. Now, I'm a big fan of Monteverde, and I love almost all their nibs, but this one is shockingly good. And I say that because usually on a black coated nib, you're gonna get some friction or feedback. This is smooth. I don't know how they did it, but this is smooth. So that is quite impressive. That is a smooth writing experience. And let's just check wetness here. Now this paper is very absorbent, so if that were on Tomoe River paper, that would have maybe gone off the page. Well, maybe not quite, but you get what I'm saying. And this, the Mahjong T1, is also inked up with Aurora Black. So this is and this is aged brass. And the nib, it's not a true fair comparison because this nib, as you could probably tell, is a medium. And let's check for wetness. Yeah. All right, so this is still a great writing experience. As you see, it's significantly more dry, but you expect that from the medium nib. I really like this pen. It is super, super heavy, so, and most of it is in the cap. Well, yeah, I dare say most of it is in the cap. But I love this pen. It's an excellent pen. If you enjoy heavy pens and like the look of TWSBI's, this is a great one. Mind you, it doesn't have a clip, but it does have the facets on the cap, so that kind of keeps it from rolling. This has the rounded cap. It does have that clip. Yeah. Let me just say, although I love this, and I think Mahjong does some amazing things with pens, I am so impressed with Monteverde and this pen. Let's just talk quickly about why I love this pen so much. First of all, the look. You have the matte black. You have the, I don't know that it's a black clip. It almost looks like a very dark gunmetal, but it's probably intended to be black. You have this nice clear body, and you have that wonderfully smooth broad nib. Useful or not, I love the locking mechanism. If nothing else, it just sets this pen apart from the other TWSBI lookalikes. I love the feature. Is it a perfect feature? No. Is it a critical feature? Definitely not. But I like it. I like it. And, you know, that would be something that you would need to decide. Perhaps the last thing to consider is the price. So the most expensive definitely is the Monteverde MP1, which I feel is worth it. First of all, it's a great pen. You have a metal cap. You have the locking mechanism. So this is right around the $50 mark, if not a little bit more. The TWSBI Eco, with the plastic cap, plastic piston knob, and yet still an excellent pen, is around the $32 mark. And then the cheapest of the three is the Mahjong T1, and that is under $30. So if you like heavy pens, that's a great choice. Admittedly, you cannot get this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you cannot get this in a broad. You can get both the Monteverde and the TWSBI in a number of nib sizes. So I have the broad on this one. This one, of course, is the fine. Yeah. Is the Monteverde MP1 worth it? I think it is. Others have doubts, but you know, we all enjoy different things in our pen hobby. We place value on different things. I will say, in the defense of the price of the MP1, that, you know, we're comparing the MP1 to the classic TWSBI Eco, and that's not like an apples to apples comparison. First of all, you have the dark clip. With TWSBIs, if the hardware is anything other than the chrome, you're getting into different price points. So, for example, I have the indigo blue with bronze colored hardware, and that's that might even be over the, I think that's closer to the $60 mark. So if you look at it that way, this is definitely fairly priced, again, considering it's metal. And it's not heavy, so it gives you the quality of metal, and yet it's not super heavy. Again, it was just a few grams more than the Eco. I almost wonder how that's possible. But anyway, there you go. I love all three pens, and I have a huge collection of TWSBI Ecos to show my love for them. I'll probably just stick with the one MP1. I don't really see a need to have more than one. I was just super thrilled that they came out with not only a piston filler, but also something with a unique feature. Whether or not, you know, that ends up being a useful feature doesn't even matter. They tried to innovate. They didn't just they could have done just a strict copy, and they didn't. And I really appreciate that about Monteverde. I'm a huge fan of Monteverde. I think it's safe to say that out of all the brands I have the most Monteverde pens. So, yeah. Anyway, perhaps a little long-winded, but I want to thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I have exciting videos coming up, including a look back at my Hobonichi cousin, and then starting for the new year, and hopefully I'll get it up before the new year, but we'll see, is a look forward to my new Hobonichi setup. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for those, and I have a lot more pens that need to be reviewed. So stay tuned for those videos also. Thank you so much for watching. I know this one was a little bit longer. I try my best to stay under 15 minutes, but we went a little more in depth with this. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.